Welcome to Bodhisattva YouTube. Here at Bodhisattva YouTube, we are forming a collective focus, a golden embryo of energy, of intention, of love, to form a new age, a new humanity. So, I myself, Gian Dharam, walking upon Turtle Island as Meteorite, Orca-Chief, an eternal being, speak for the Indigenous relationship with the lands here in Canada. So, Canada is an Indigenous nation. Queen Victoria never signed the Hudson's Bay Company's movement into this region of the planet when they were doing so because of the disharmony that they were doing it within. She was touched by the hearts of the Indigenous people who, after their way of life was being massacred, systematic, ongoing suppression of their people, she was actually being entertained by them. They were being shipped over to entertain her, the Indigenous people, and so were Indigenous people from all over the world. Queen Victoria stated that the Indigenous people of North America were the most beautiful people she had ever met. Her heart was touched. I believe she fell in love. She did not sign one document of the Hudson's Bay Company, which is the company that technically formed the country of Canada, if you look into the history. She did not sign any of it, and neither did any of Queen Victoria's constituents. Her constituents were loyal to her, and anyone with her signing power did not sign, as she didn't. So the Hudson's Bay Company was completely rogue and were a bunch of brutes, and they were doing horrible things. They were starving people, Indigenous people. They were taking all their supplies when they came upon, killing the men, raping the women, starving the children, taking all their supplies in winter. Absolutely horrific things. This wasn't a positive or spiritual movement or mutual relationship or any kind of harmony between the boat people coming over at that time in history and the Indigenous people that lived on this land. This was a massacre, okay? This was an ugly group of people in disharmony coming over from another country, running from their country, who disliked their own country and wanted to get away from it, coming over here in that panic and state of fear and discord and lack of alignment with all things that support them, full of disease, and came over here and started to try to destroy the people that were living in harmony. So that's the truth, okay? Truth-telling, all right? That's the truth. That's what happened here in Canadian history. So we are Indigenous people. So if you were born in Canada, if you were born on Mother Earth, you are Indigenous. But that does not mean you understand an Indigenous lifestyle. That lifestyle has been depleted and systematically destroyed. So what you are a part of is an industrial lifestyle. A lifestyle in discord, a lifestyle in disharmony, a lifestyle that's unsustainable, and a lifestyle that humans feed on each other to survive. Okay? So it's completely out of whack. So everything's okay. I'm laying it on hard today because we need to hear the truth. Truth-telling needs to be spoken, and people need to understand the truth and the history of the country in order to make clear decisions on how we can live in harmony together. I'd like to state that I am fully behind the United States of America. I am not attached to the label of Canada, although I think it would be wise for us to move forward in our independence. I don't see it as a positive at this moment when people like, there's going to be an election coming up after this, but people like Mark Carney, a governor of a British bank, just being placed into the former prime minister's position, So just think about that for a second. A banker. We're an Indigenous country. If you live in Canada, there's an Indigenous relationship in Canada that all people feel in their hearts. If you're living here on the ground, all people feel this in our hearts, connected to our land, connected to the beautiful migrations and species that are left, our forests, our waterways. The people here are connected to that land and love it. And we want to protect it. And we want it to be sustained, and we want to live with it in right relationship. We want to integrate into our wilderness and build a holistic way of life. Higher technologies that do not cause destruction are welcome. Sensible mining operations that support the communities and everyone's lives within it and futures and ongoing sustainability can be considered. But private companies coming in to make huge profits in world industries are not welcome. Period. All right? Meteorite, Orca-Chief. These are our lands. We live here. Not some banker in the British Isles. A banker has no relationship with the land. Absolutely none. Understands none of the migrations, understands none of the history, does not understand the sacred hoop of life and how all the intricate life forces are creating sustainability throughout the seasons and the annual cycles together for us to live and thrive ongoing in sustainability. So this idiot coming over from the British Isles, coming from the government of the bank, only has interest, like Trudeau did, in big business corporations and profit and power. He doesn't have any of what I just told you into consideration, and he would try to use any of those topics to manipulate the population to gain access with big corporate business to further exploit the country in an industrial manner. So that's what's taking place worldwide, if you really want to know, if you want to get into it, okay? So Donald Trump and Elon Musk are heroes right now, and the American people are heroes, and the American country is the greatest country in the world right now that's standing up against the rest of the world corruption that wants to continually move in a systematic dead thought process, dead way of life, and destructive way of life that we destroy everything and feed on each other. And that's what the rest of the world's politicians, not the countries and the people within them, but that's what the rest of the world's politicians want to continue and want to move forward with in that manner. Now, the only country that has any sort of common sense and sensibility about them at this moment and wants change and wants to see sustainable life and in a practical manner with common sense and everyone living in a good way of life together, supporting each other in a loving way, that I can see is the United States of America. Donald Trump and Elon Musk and all of his staff, constituents, and support systems. These are actually a people that seem at this time, at this moment, to be acting in right relationships with the rest of humanity to try to progress in a positive and sensible way that supports all of us and that starts to consider a better way with the environment. Now, there's a lot of controversy over the environment. Now, what you have to understand is that corruption is going to use your emotional ties to the environment to try to gain your support to reinforce in deception a continual raping of Mother Earth and systematic destruction of any kind of human culture. So that's what government is deception. That's what you have this Mark Connie character coming in from the British Isles, a governor of a bank. Okay, a bank. We're talking about the government, the Canadian leadership here, and we're talking about an Indigenous country. We're talking about the one of the most resourceful, sustainable places left on Earth, and you bring in a banker? You bring in a banker. Okay? So, don't vote Liberal, okay? And personally, I think in any party, the whole country should be involved in the voting policies to vote in any leader within any party. The whole country should be involved. It shouldn't be within the party itself. So just like we vote for a leader in the country, we should all be entitled to vote for the leaders within the parties. Take that on. Okay, I think that's fair. Why not? Why not? Why should the party be able to choose its own leader? This is a government. This is our country. This is the people's country. This is the people's lands. We're all in the decisions together. So not only should we be able to vote for the political party that we want, but we should be able to vote for the leaders within that party. The whole country should be involved, not just one little liberal association over in Ontario in the House that only cares about money and profits, and they don't even relate to other countries in a healthy way. They want to down talk those countries, use them and abuse them, do anything they can for profits. If you want to talk about this 1% of fentanyl, I just want to remind you, Canada, that is only what we noticed. I believe the United States fentanyl problem is largely due to the lack of Canadian integrity within the borders, and I believe the politicians are largely involved in the profits in fentanyl, and I believe more fentanyl went over Canadian borders than Mexico. It might be true. I could be wrong, but it might be true. All right? Because we have such an ugly, corrupt country. Now, I live here on the ground. I live in a business community. I live in an industrial society. And my experience of a business community and industrial society is very shallow thought processes, low vibrational frequency thinking that's all based in survival and greed and position in society and in the industrial format. I do not see a culture grounded in spirituality, grounded in a sustainable way of life, and grounded in looking after each other's basic needs. I do not see that at all. And it's true. Canada is a shithole industrial country at this moment where it starves people, poisons people. If you are at a disadvantage, the only options for you financially, the only advantages for you in a Canadian society is to go and be poisoned and slowly killed. That's it. So that's the options. You can go and you can get poisoned cheeses with huge amounts of dyes, foods that are full of sodiums that will kill you, sugars that will disrupt your body and your spiritual alignment. And that's all that anything is going to be available for you if you are not in a political circle of greed and corruption. That's all it's going to be available for you. So those people hate you. If they can't use you sexually or politically, then they want to kill you. They want to starve you, and they want to run you out of their towns. Because they lack spirituality, they lack human decency, and they lack human connectivity, and they lack true understanding and right relationship with the Mother Earth and Father Sky and Cosmos. So, hard hitting today. Most people are at church. I didn't go. I needed to make this video. I love church. I love all spiritualities. I love all people who want to endeavor in a higher connection with a universal energy that we are all connected to intricately, physically, and intuitively, and are all in part of a happening that creates an ongoing flow of life in sustainable harmony, peace and love, and nirvana, creation, Shambhala. All of this stuff is resourceable. There has been a golden age on Earth, and there can be another one. But it requires harmony. It requires truth. It requires peace. It does. And you can quote me. You're not going to see it unless we come to that. And Canada's only hope right now is Donald Trump and Elon Musk in the United States, in my opinion. And I believe, as much as I love the idea of Canada becoming an Indigenous country, I actually have a greater hope of our harmony and our indigenous values being upheld by the United States, and would prefer to be the 51st state of the United States of America than I would being a Canadian citizen under any Canadian party, any of them. Okay, the NDP, nope. Liberals, nope. Conservatives, nope. Green Party, nope. Any of the ones over in Quebec, nope. So there's no option for a Canadian citizen like myself, Gian Dharam, walking as Meteorite Orca-Chief upon Turtle Island. Yes, I have a legal name. I'm not going to tell you it. It's going to be changed to a combination of those two names, because that's who I am. So there is absolutely no party, no political avenue in this industrial society that I feel in this country has any sort of integrity. Not one. And they are all led by greedy, corrupt, fearful men and women who are desperate for their own lives and power and money within an industrial society and banking system. They have no connection to spirituality, these lands, or indigenous values. None. None. And you can say what you want about Donald Trump, about let's drill, baby, drill. Hey, we've been drilling for a long time. I don't like seismic bombs being put off in the ocean for obvious reasons. Whales are part of our family. This is very disrespectful to their environment, their migrations, their life force, their way of life, their way of being, their being's body and conduit, and how it relates to all their species in the oceans. It's very respectful to every species in the ocean, and the oceans is where evolution takes place to keep life going, okay? So if you understand the ocean, it's the building blocks of life. That's where life crawled out of the ocean to happen on land. All right? If you don't believe that, then we've got another topic to talk about. But life literally started in water. The building blocks of life and microorganisms started in water. And it probably could happen on land, but the same difference. The building blocks of life are microscopic, and that's what creates life. And when you start creating disharmony in nature at catastrophic levels, you are preventing life from sustaining itself. It's always going. It's not like it just starts at the building blocks of life and comes up into all of these forms and then the building blocks stop. The building blocks keep going. The whole process is a cycle and is always ongoing forever. So if you start destroying the building blocks, every other species is going to have a ripple effect through a time period that's going to get worse and worse and worse and worse, and where resources and other creatures and everything that supports life with each other in a sacred cycle is going to be depleted and slowly diminish. And it's even happened on other planets, and that's why aliens came here, apparently, because their planets were having trouble. Another topic that's real and can be discussed. There are other extraterrestrial species on this planet. If you spend enough time out in the stars, if you spend enough time walking through the forest, if you spend enough time looking into political evidence, you will understand that we're not alone, and there are very much other intelligent species. Every species is intelligent. There are more humanoid species like us within the galaxy, within the solar system, within the galaxy, the universe, and even on our planet terrestrial. So that's hidden information. That's another big topic. That's a little bit too much for some people. I get it. I understand. It took me a long time. It took me about 15 years of integration and constantly being engaged with planet Earth, other human beings, my consciousness mainly, meditation, and the planet and the stars, to start to understand that there was a much larger happening over a much larger time frame than my consciousness was open to when I first got born into the world. So all of that was probably within me and within my cells, but it takes time for us to awaken. It takes time for us to realize, to be aware. All right? So once you become aware, you cannot go back or you'll get sick. You can become aware of something and you deny it, it's slowly going to eat away at you, because your body and your cells and the sky, the stars, the earth, they all know it's true. They're all in alignment with it. It's all part of it. So if you start denying stuff that you know is true within your belly, within your heart, within your psyche, if you start denying those things, you are going to not have a very good life. It's going to be a difficult life. It's going to be the struggle. But when you start to allow your body and energies to move with everything, then you start to continually grow and become more open to what is taking place around you. Now, the best thing we can do is live in harmony, because when we're living in harmony, it is much easier for us all to adapt, for us all to share, for us all to integrate, and for us all to find peace within it, and for us all to find celebration and ceremony and ongoing life that is in a celebration and appreciation and gratitude and all of these spiritual awarenesses and concepts that we practice and find truth within practicing. So obviously, if you practice appreciation, you know how your body feels when you appreciate something. You know how your body feels when you have genuine gratitude for other people. You know how your body feels when you go out of your way to be nice to other people. You know that there is a spirituality in right relationship, and that there is higher powers, higher beings that we are residing in this vessel to have the experience for a continual evolution through a process of eternity, all part of a cosmic oneness. So when you start practicing principles due to higher alignment and due to cosmic love, the love that creates all things, so we can have this, you start to have confirmations, affirmations, and truths start to instill in who you are, and you become a stronger person, so you can't deny it. So that's what takes place when you start to devote yourself to right relationship, is you become aware of a universe as opposed to a little industrial movement and a part-time job and a paycheck and pleasures. All right, that's the main problem. If you want to know the main problem with human society, it's that everyone's after pleasures. And if you want to know the main problem with governments, is they're all trying to justify their pleasures, justify gaining opportunity to those pleasures in any means they can, desperately and fearfully, so they can have a chance at them, and they'll destroy everything they can for their children's chance at it. So you got to watch mothers and fathers that don't have spiritual alignment, and families that don't have spiritual alignment, because they become destructive people that will do anything to survive and anything for the next cookie or the next donut or the next $1 million in the bank account or their next real estate deal or and they'll shit on everyone around them and their environment, and not care if people are out of harmony, if people don't have well-being in their lives, if people aren't supporting one another, if people are freezing to death, if people are this or that. It doesn't matter to them, as long as their children are okay and they have their next paycheck coming in and they have a big bank account for the next outlook for the next 30 years and a mortgage and a retirement. And so all of this stuff is an illusion, a self-fabricated illusion that is disconnected from the whole and only serves themselves, if you can see that clearly. And they become a destructive person, they become a destructive family, and they become a destructive community, and they become a destructive nation to their Mother Earth, each other, and all other species around them, completely in disharmony. Whew! So, how can you stop something like that? Stop charging people monthly bills for rent? Why? Stop charging people for food and have patients growing it together and making food together every day instead of living in fear? These would be two very potent guidelines to a harmonious planet with a harmonious species that can then move out into a cosmic and galactic relationship with many other species in a universe. That would be a starting point. Okay, so basic needs building shelters. I mean, if you go back in time, the Indigenous never tried to conquer people for well-being. They all looked after each other. They all lived in a circle. They weren't happy if somebody was unhappy in their tribe. They realized that that person was unhappy and they would share with them, and that person became happy and the tribe would become happier. So if you're looking at common sense, I mean, Donald Trump's talking about common sense. Elon Musk is talking about common sense. I love it, you guys. I hope you get to see this video. My country is trying to shut me down every which way they can. My own community is trying to shut me down every which way they can. They're trying to label me and destroy me in every way they can. A bunch of skinny, dickless men that only care about their bank accounts and their children's future, don't care about me, don't care about other people. They just want their profits, their security, and their ongoing destructive way of life. Okay? So it's okay. I don't take it personally. It's the culture. They're doing it to themselves. So I'm here to help, and I'm actually here to help them heal. I don't take it personally. They're doing it to themselves. They're doing it to their children. They're doing it to the next generation. The next generation is being taught to do it to that generation, and it's ongoing because it's a shit industrial way of life that has no sensibility, that has no deeper connection, and has no value in terms of the laws of creation. So there's only 4 laws in creation. Number 1, you exist. You are consciousness. You are awareness. You exist. You're light. You're you're created light. Universal creation of light. Birthed from a primordial Aka, a substance, a darkness. And this miracle has taken place to form your body, and a consciousness has entered that body to have a physical experience. And that is sacred. That is extremely sacred. And that is the higher technology of the universe. Consciousness, awareness. It has nothing to do with little industrial fabrics we pull off our planet and fight over. Nothing. Power is within you, and power is love and understanding, true understanding. That's the way it is. So, stay calm, take a deep breath. Know that all you have to do is come together as a people and start creating values within your community, and start creating a strong community in connection with the land, with an indigenous sense, and an indigenous relationship to the land. Whatever spirituality you're endeavoring in. And this relationship will grow and flourish, and consciousness and awareness will expand, and the communities will become stronger. So that's what we need to do in Canada. As for the politicians, I don't know what party you should vote for when this next election comes up. Like I said, I think none of them are capable, but as time moves on and the influence of the common sense coming from America, perhaps one of these parties will grow enough to become an appropriate candidate in the time that the election is going to take place, so we can have a more united country in terms of how we feel about our lands and each other and our relationship with our closest neighbor. This is about love, people. And I'm in a country where I'm hearing way too much negative talk about the United States politics, and I don't like it. So I'm here in Canada. I walk the streets every day. I can go to any city in this country. I'm a free man. I'm a Canadian citizen. If you want to call upon me and invite me, I'll come and speak. And I will get there without any bodyguards or protection. I will get there as a soulful human being of divine light, protected by creation. And I will get there and I will come and speak without any fear or apprehension within me, unlike the Canadian politicians, who hide behind doors, do not come out, do not speak to the people, do not come into the communities, do not get to know anybody, do not relate to the communities or any of their needs or social structures or invest. They are complete tyrants that have their fingers in bank bowls, big pockets of monies and interests that don't care about any of us or the environment or the society as a whole. In the last 12, 16 years, the entire history of the country has been proof of this. So there you have it. And the United States, the last 4 years of their president was horrible, and they were a horrible country in their decision making. But you got to understand also that they had an incompetent leadership, and all the other countries in the world didn't come to their aid in an incompetent leadership, didn't come to support them in a healthy way. They came to exploit them and destroy them and take them over and rip every resource from them that they possibly could. So in their state of vulnerability, every other country in the world came to destroy them. Okay? YouTube, this is going to be on YouTube. YouTube, you're highly corrupt. You're run by some of the corruptest people in the world. I have no respect. Absolutely none. And you've stolen my information for over 20 years. You've never offered me a dime back, and you're making billions of dollars. And so you're a perfect example of what I'm saying. You're a disconnected, unreliable, disassociated, sick industrial culture that doesn't care about anything around you. So that's YouTube. So, and you're totally into psychological manipulation. So is Facebook. It's all psychological manipulation and corruption and coercing. You're trying to coerce people's consciousnesses through an electrical device, a little device. That's not love. We are the power. We are the divinity that creation created. My aura, my energy, my soul that comes into my body is the higher power and the stronger resource of awareness, not this stupid little device I'm talking on. And you're trying to, and these companies think that they can coerce and manipulate the entire world through their algorithms, and it's all based on profit and greed again. And it's not based on wellness. It's not based on a good way of life within a cycle of life, or true understanding, or enriching each other's lives, or building shelters for each other, or growing food together, or making meals together, or raising animals together, or yada yada yada, or building sustainable and holistic light frequency pure water purifiers instead of pumping toxic chlorine into our water systems and poisoning waterways that calcify pineal glands and shut people's nervous systems down, and connective conduit to a creation. It's just never ending, like the amount of bullshit that you have to seep through. So I'm Gian Dharam from Planetary Yoga. I can help you with all that stuff I just mentioned if you're struggling through it, and I do it by donation because I'm a compassionate, tolerant, loving human being that wants to see a better world and a better society. So don't hesitate. PlanetaryKundaliniYoga.com, www.PlanetaryKundaliniYoga.com. And if you're struggling with any of these issues and need someone to talk to, no problem. We're both human beings. Give me a call. I work by donation. You can send me a little donation on PayPal just to thank me for the time and to help me get through this craziness as well. And I get by in very little, no big deal. And and we can continue to evolve each other and our communities and our society. And it's not hopeless. I've been doing this for 20 years, and everyone's lives get better when they start becoming connected and when they start making rational, reasonable, and good decisions that relate to true understanding and the well-being of each other. So don't hesitate, okay? And as for Canada, you're a disgrace. You're not the people. I'm a Canadian. I'm sitting in Canada right now. I'm not calling Canadians disgraceful. I'm calling our politics disgraceful. It's absolutely disgraceful. So is Ukraine. And so is a few other countries in the world that I won't mention. Their leaderships are not aware of a bigger picture and a way of life that we can transition to as a human species in a much more harmonious way. So this is an ongoing evolution. We need to stay calm, we need to breathe, we need to be rational, and we need to talk about changes, like big changes. I don't believe people should be charged monthly rent. It's a total whack job on people's nervous systems and consciousness. Once the building is built, it's built. You don't pay for something after it's built. It's done. The people came together, they drew the resources from the earth, they built it. It's now there to be used harmoniously and openly in a shared manner amongst the people freely. You don't keep driving consciousness and energy. That's consciousness and energy. That's attention. Attention spans. You're trying to take consciousness and attention span and drive it into paying a fabricated illusion for that person's life month after month after month after month after month. That's a sin. It's a sin. You're trying to control consciousness and other life in a very negative and isolated way in a living universe, a cosmos. You're sick. You're absolutely disgusting. You are. You're absolutely disgusting. It's disgusting. Once the house is built, it's built. No one pays for it ever again. You use it to create life, to create commodities, to create resources that we all thrive and share and live in abundance with. The only reason you can't live in abundance is because you're all so greedy, you're trying to take from each other, that you all just destroy each other and everything around you because you don't know how to live on a planet in any connectivity or in relationship with anything around you. You're completely useless, commodity-sucking beings that have no talent or no capability of connecting with anything or living in harmony with anything. That's what you're being taught to be in an industrial society. All right? And the fact that you want to profit and charge people continues that narrative and that negative awareness and egotistical cycle of psychopaths. That's what it is. You're a bunch of psychopaths. So I'm talking about all of us now. I'm not just talking about the government. I'm talking about all of us as a society in an industrial world who are living that way. We're living a psychopathic way of life. We are. We're living in a giant, what would you call it? Mental institution. We're living in a giant mental institution. And we just do our best to maintain in that. But that's what it is. It's not an indigenous lifestyle in harmony with all people looking after each other, living in a sacred cycle of life with all other creatures in an annual rotation throughout the seasons. In an absolute abundance that we adore and are in awe of and thrive in the most fabulous way that's imaginable. We can't even imagine its power and abundance and how well we could all thrive in it if we all worked together and lived in that true understanding. That's not what we're doing in an industrial society. We're a disease. That's what it is. So we need to change. You can attack me. I don't care. Go ahead. It's not going to change by attacking me. Go ahead. Kill me. It's not going to change by killing me. You're going to go down the same path, a bunch of morons doing the same stupid shit as before, killing each other, killing your children, and dying out. Killing the planet. That's what you're going to do. If you don't start to listen to spirituality, spiritual reality, spiritual morality, true indigenous understanding, right relationship, rainbow vision, an evolution beyond a body. There's a lot of sick, psychotic people out there that are trying to live forever in one body. Okay, now that may be possible with higher technologies. That may be possible. I don't know, because we're not in harmony, so we could never explore it together. So even that cannot be explored in disharmony. We would have a much better chance at understanding how to transfer a consciousness from one body to another if that had a good reason to be done. We would have a much better chance at technologies like that and understandings like that if we were in harmony. Personally, I think we should be happy with death at some point. Even if we could sustain our lives to 900 or 1200 or 1300 years, death is inevitable for every being. And I think it is a beautiful transition into a higher plane of awareness and another lifespan. In fact, I know that. I would tell you I know that, but you have to discover it, so it's kind of ignorant or pushy. It's a little bit pushy of me as a spiritual being and a consciousness to tell you I know that. But it's also important that somebody on this planet tells you that. Somebody that can ground it. Somebody that can embody it. And somebody that can say, yes, you are a spiritual being. You have a soul, a spirit, a consciousness, an awareness. Is that inside your body? I love Nassim Harmon. If you took a radio, you're like, wow, somebody's talking to me in this little box, and you're trying to figure out where that person is. So you're ripping that box apart, taking all the screws apart, taking all the chips apart, and you're like, where's the person? And suddenly the noise stops because you destroyed it, and and there's no person inside. There's nothing inside it to talk to you. There's nothing to relate to. Well, that's kind of like our human bodies. If you kill us and you start cutting us open and you start looking for something inside of us to talk to or relate to, well, you destroyed it. And that person's no longer there. That consciousness is no longer there for you. They probably won't want to talk to you from a higher realm because of what you did to them. So it's all spiritual. We are light. We are consciousness. We are not this prude matter, physical beings to live in fear and destroy each other and everything around us to survive. We are spiritual beings, eternal. Death never touches us, and we live forever. So we come here to learn and learn and live in harmony in a sacred hoop of life with all relationships and true understanding. Period. So all you bankers, all you politicians, you've got it wrong. You all want a sustainable way to be filthy rich and live beyond your means, out of alignment with creation, and to destroy everything around you. That's what you want. I believe there's one politician in the world right now who has a lot to learn about the environment. Donald Trump, you have a lot to learn about the environment. You do. About the sacred hoop of life and the intricacies of life, the building blocks, how all creatures support each other in a sacred cycle of life. I can tell by watching you and some of your comments. God bless you, my dear Mr. President Trump. You do, another human being speaking from my heart, grounded, not in fear. You do have a lot to learn about nature. Okay, and I'd be happy to sit with you anytime. Not that I need to. If you just think I'm some useless punk or human being, whatever, I don't need to talk to you. I'm happy to move on from this life even. And I know it's an eternal process and we'll all be well. But if you wanted to talk to me, I would love to talk to you. And I think it would be great to have a very deep conversation about Mother Nature and see what we can learn together in that regard. And I'm sure there's many other people like me that would like to have that conversation with you as well. And I think that you were open to it, which is a miracle for us. Okay, so let's get on track, Canada. Let's get on track, Nelson, BC. Let's get on track, the surrounding areas in my local community. And let's push profit-mongering, hateful, power-mongering politicians that only care about their banks, their houses, and their mortgages out of our communities and come together for a greater union, a greater collaboration around with our environments, a greater relationship with our environments, and a more sustainable way of life. And it's all choices. You're all imprisoned by your bills, by your banks, by your month, by you do it to each other. You're all making the choice to do it to each other. And I know it's highly entangled and most people can't even think about a way out of it. They think it's impossible, but it's not. It's about love, and it's about what you're willing to do. The first community in this world or in this country that comes together as a whole and says, let's forget about our differences within our community and let's just start working with the outside of our community, will be an example. And it won't be perfect because we will isolate ourselves by doing so. But all of a sudden we will have the freedom to build for each other, resource from our own environments without being told what to do from people hundreds of thousands of miles away or 10,000 miles away or whatever. We will have the capability of making decisions for ourselves, resourcing from our environment for ourselves, building for each other, creating foods for each other, growing foods, and no one will be giving us limitations that don't make any sense, that are far beyond common sense. Far beyond common sense. So far beyond common sense. Municipalities and little industrial communities, they're all based on destruction and resource, and they have no sustainable way of life about them. And this is the majority of the world. So you're industrial little rats, most of us. Yeah. Rats aren't sick and they're not dirty. We are. So when a city gets really bad, they'll start having big rat problems. They'll start having disease problems and everything. And they'll blame it on the rats. And they'll look at the rats like those disgusting creatures. Do you know that rats are actually very clean animals? They're very healthy and very clean animals and resourceful. And they actually they actually clean up in nature. They actually clean, so that, and they're healthy. Like they're beautiful, glowing creatures, and we create all the pollution that makes them sick. We create all the chemicals that makes them disgusting and diseased and out of whack, out of senses. We do that. We're the rats. I don't even like putting down I don't like putting down our species in reference to any other creature in the world, because we're actually lying about the other creature and insulting them, insulting their consciousness, their awareness, and their intelligence due to our own lack of understanding and our disharmony that we're in. It's us. So when we learn to live in right relationship, we can then, when we not even learn, we collectively, when we want to make the decision together to live well and look after each other in our environments, we will just start a new beginning. That's where it begins. We have to slow down. So how can you slow down? Stop pressuring everyone. Stop making fabricated demands that mean nothing. If we all stop paying rent tomorrow, what's that going to change about the sun rotating? What's that going to change about the moon rotating? What's that going to change about the tides? What's that going to change about the animal migrations? What's that going to change about food growing out of the ground? What's that going to change about agriculture? What is going to change if we all stop paying rent? Our illusion. What's going to change if we all have freedom to seeds? Think about that. And land to grow food. Think about that. The first time I ever saw a plant go to seed, I planted one seed in the spring. One seed. That plant, one species, that plant grew, one species out of billions of species of plants. That one plant grew, gave me nourishment, and that plant in the fall went to seed. I could not believe my eyes. It transformed my being. It was like somebody seeing a UFO and never being the same person again. That was the same for me as seeing that plant go to seed. I could never be the same human being again. I knew I was lied to about everything from seeing one plant go to seed. Hundreds of thousands of seeds. Do you know how much nourishment I got from that one plant? It's so hard for my heart to talk about this to humanity because that's how distant and far humanity is from well-being. Destroying all the indigenous knowledge on the planet and right relationship and sacred hoop of life and true understanding to live in an industrial manner. To live in a poisonous, toxic, destructive mannerism on a planet. All it took was one seed, one season, or 3 seasons, spring, summer, and fall, within one annual rotation. All it took was that to transform my consciousness and awareness, and I could never be the same person again because that one plant took care of me. I literally fell in love, and a few others in the garden, but mainly it was the relationship with that one plant and eating just a little couple leaves off of it and some flowers off of it, and then its fruit, just a few of them through the season, and then seeing it going to seed. And the energy of that relationship was harmonious and life-giving, not just the substance. Time is a big part of harmony, and when you're relating to other things in time frames, dimensional time frames, that is what is bringing harmony, not profits, not security, not bank accounts. That's all an illusion. So that one plant, hundreds of thousands of seeds for the next season. So there's relationships with soil you can learn about. There's relationships with seeds, many different types of plants. Agriculture is a huge part of being in relationship with plants. So flora and fauna have a sacred connection, right? Our sun, our seasons, all of these things are part of what real power is. The aliens know this. Real human beings know this. We're all real human beings. We're all loving and awakening each other. But people in disharmony want to deny it because they're scared. That's what it really is. They're terrified. So we have to understand that. Some of us are terrified. Some of us are strong. Some of us are blind. Some of us are sensitive. You know, we all have things to contribute, but our way of life has to be in love for us to get on track. And I'm not sorry, bank accounts ain't gonna do it. Profit ain't gonna do it. It's gonna continually lead us. Well, in Canada, some monetary trade is sensible in any society throughout our history when it is in love and in connection to resource and our connections to that resource and our relationships with it in an ongoing sustainable function. That's what true understanding in Indigenous life is starting to get you to engage in, so you can experience it, have a full, rich, real life and true understanding, and evolve into a higher being through the process of a transition eventually at some point. That's what real power is. Not living in fear, not living under the thumb of somebody's pressures month to month. That's a sickness. So I'm going to put this video out knowing that we are on track, knowing that this is a golden age, knowing that peace and harmony is within me and within a lot of others and on our doorstep as a world, global society, and knowing that a golden age and evolution beyond our imagination, greater than the last one, is right at our feet. Planetary Yoga. Human union. We are elementals. Thank you very much for listening. I'm Gian Dharam. I live a multi-dimensional experience throughout eternity, walking upon these lands, Turtle Island, known as Canada, and North America in the modern world. I live beyond that one time frame. I live a dimensional experience of all eternity and all time frames. Bodhisattva, Gian Dharam, walking here today in this time as Meteorite Orca-Chief, speaking for Indigenous rights, true understanding, and right relationship in a sacred hoop of life. Our only way forward. Please check out the website and come and meet. That's the best thing to do, is come and meet and have an experience together. And that will, if that's your calling, that will help us expand one another and help us support each other. And all those other things that we're struggling with will fall into place as we pay heed and love to one another. Thank you very much. Ke aloha. Sat Nam. All men. When they say man in a biblical sense, it means woman as well. And don't shoot the messenger, women. I wasn't the creator of the biblical time frame and all that thing. So maybe it should have been woman, right? So that's where you get the patriarch with the biblical sense, and you get the matriarch with the Hawaiian aloha and all that stuff. And we're meant to live in love. Ke aloha. I hope you enjoyed this, and I look forward to meeting you. Life's eternal. It never ends. Many blessings.